Our next guest, Chrissy Ransome, tells us that she can't do it all, but she can do all she can. Chrissy has been raised all her life to give back to her community, but she's never given back like she has since her Aunt Tonja died from breast cancer. The story of her aunt is an amazing one and a sad one because it was her aunt who was organizing screening days for the Rose and the community in the Bryan College Station area. Chrissy learned the hard way what it means to take care of yourself, and now she's making sure that women all over her community know how important it is to have that breast cancer screening. When you subscribe to our show, you help us grow. Someone you know may need to hear this story, so please share with your family and friends. And consider supporting our mission. Your donation can help save the life of an uninsured woman. Let's talk about your breast. A different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics, and you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life. Chrissy, thanks so much for being with us today. We're just delighted to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope our listeners remember when we talked with Max Gerald, who started the REACH program. This amazing, inventive, community-minded young man has done so many things and recommended that we visit with Chrissy today, and I'm just so happy to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us, how did you get to know Max?
So I got to know Max because when he first was getting ready to launch the REACH project, the organization, he actually was going out to meet with community members, community leaders, just to kind of form those partnerships around the Bryan College Station area. And so he happened to stumble across my aunt, who was quite a pillar in our community and knew everyone that was in the Castle Heights community in Bryan. And so because of their connection, then we were able to be connected during that first inaugural year. And so that's how we got acquainted, and we kind of been stuck together ever since.
Oh, now your aunt was Miss
Tonja Moore.
Yes.
Ma'am.
And he spoke so highly of her and how she made opened the door, made the impact for him to even be able to talk with people.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about REACH.
Okay. So the REACH project started out, Max is the founder, and he started out really focusing in on the essential Aggies of Texas A&M.
Now, who is that?
So the essential Aggies is all of what some people would consider like the invisible people on campus that kind of keep it running behind the scenes. So you have the custodial workers, food service workers, maintenance, cafeteria workers, people that, may just be opening the door for you. Anybody that, is really essential to the functioning and the everyday life on campus, but don't always get the recognition. And so the vision was to kind of give them a platform because some of them had situations where, they were coming to work taking care of thousands of students every day, and then going home to sleep on someone's couch because they couldn't take care of their bills. They couldn't, they didn't have proper health care. They may not have had the things they needed that we, take for granted. And so Max's mission really was to just give them a voice, but also find ways to, kind of cater to their community. Mm-hmm. And that expanded into multiple different programs up under the REACH umbrella, which the one that I'm a part of is the Entrepreneurship.
And tell us a little bit about that.
So the Entrepreneurship program is a program that we had that is a form that brings in people who may be working full-time jobs, and they have a side hustle or they have an idea and they just don't have the resources to, launch that business or launch that nonprofit. And we bring them in and kind of create somewhat of an incubator that takes them through the process of building out their business plan, learning how to market themselves and brand, learning how to pitch their businesses to donors and to people in the community, but also exposing them to the community that they may not be aware of that will be their target market, and just cultivating a community that allows them to be able to grow and develop in that business space. while still trying to develop in, finances and learn how to manage money, different things like that, and still having time to be with their families.
So, were you a participant or one of the leaders?
So I actually was just volunteering. Previously, before coming to Reach, I actually worked for a company, and that's what I did. I helped them start that process, the first 90 days of being a business owner. And so me and Max, we just kind of linked up together. And I would volunteer for certain events, especially our For the Culture Market that I was speaking about. And that is what got me to the point now where I was able to come in actually as a facilitator and the Entrepreneurship Program Manager.
Max spoke of you and spoke of your aunt because she was instrumental in bringing the Rose into that community. And of course, we were using our mobile mammography coach.
Yes, ma'am.
And doing screening for some of the essential Aggies and other people in the community.
Right.
And why did she have such an interest in that?
She had an interest in that because she was very aware of what was going on in our community. There was a lot of people that was uninsured, a lot of people who really weren't taking their health as serious as they should because they felt like they didn't have the resources or didn't know who they needed to speak with to get those things done. But also on the other side of it, on the business side, she had a side hustle that she was trying to expand and help people really. And it wasn't even about making money. It was really just about making it such a great business that she was able to pour into other businesses, other business owners, people who maybe wanted to enter into that space. And so she really was kind of all around. She was what I consider a Renaissance woman, really. She could do anything that was put in her path. And so with her vision and with linking up with somebody like Max, who was already boots on the ground, I think it just created a wonderful space that now we're reaping the benefits of. And able to help even more people in both of those spaces. So,
Chrissy, your aunt didn't take advantage of some of those services. Is that what I understand?
She didn't. She actually had a battle herself.
That y'all didn't know about?
We didn't.
Which is not unusual.
Right.
I want to remind our listeners, a lot of times women don't share when they've found something in their breast or they know something isn't quite right.
Right.
Which drives me nuts. But
Right. But that's how it was. I think that because she was maybe in a state where she could have been scared or, she just didn't want to bother, anybody with that because she was so uplifting and always an inspiration and you never heard her complain, even going through that process. And so really, by the time she did tell us, it was too far gone. And so, it was a short battle that she fought, but I know that by her going through that and being able to share in that short time, it does help a lot of women. I just wish that, she could have been able to have an early diagnosis and maybe she'd still be here.
And how old was she?
She was 53 years old.
Oh.
53.
Oh. Wow. Well, with her being young, and I'm just going to say this so our listeners remember, it can move very fast, and you really need to get on top of it pretty soon when you find it. So how did you handle that?
It was a very hard journey because we were very close. I mean, from the time I got here, she was like my second mom. Her and my mom were very close. And so just going through the process of feeling like she was sick to actually finding out she was sick, because at that point it was already aggressive. She was already stage 4 by the time we found out. And so at that point, it was really just trying to get it under control because there were other things that were happening in her body that also was factors into the decline very quickly. But it was a very hard journey. I know that, a lot of times when somebody passed, some people, they find strength from that and they begin to go into this space where they're able to go advocate or, create all these different things. But I really went into a place where I didn't know what to do because I didn't know how to function without her being here. And especially in the space where had we known, had she went through that, early diagnosis, had she been getting checked, had she had the resources to be able to know what was going on in her body. It's God's will regardless, but maybe she would have still been here.
Mm-hmm. She was uninsured.
She was.
one of the saddest statistics we have here at the Rose is that for the past 8 years, the only women who have been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer were uninsured. You know, we serve an insured population as well as an uninsured. Not one of those insured women were diagnosed at stage 4.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just, when I first realized that was happening, I thought, I don't need to read anything else. I know what's wrong with our healthcare system. I know what's happening here. So I'm so sorry. I know you miss her.
Oh, yeah.
And did she just one day go to the doctor and say, I have something happening in my breast? Or
I really don't know if she had started going to the doctor before she told us, but it actually began to kind of break her down to where she was having, back pain and side pain. And, like I was saying, there were other things that were happening in her body that she really had to tell us at that point because we could physically see that she was being affected. But it really was a quick turnaround, a quick journey because she was literally working up until June, July-ish, got sick and to where we noticed it, and did a spell in the hospital. Things were kind of looking up. And then she just passed peacefully with all of us there. So very thankful for that, despite the tragedy. But it really did push me, though, once I got through that dark stage. It really pushed me to what can I do to make sure that this does not happen over and over again.
I think her story is also what's made Max so adamant about we have to figure out a way to get the unit there more often. We have to figure out, we can't have any more.
Definitely. And then just the support of the community because once that happened, there was a big outpour in the community of people who were in similar situations or had family members that was in similar situations. So, we wanted to try to find a way as a family, but also with Max, to get these women those resources that they needed. Mm-hmm. And so the amount of people that showed up for the very first one was it superseded what we thought, was going to happen. And so I'm with him. I stand with him all the way, to try to get as many women as we can those same resources because every life that, walks in that room that may have been overlooked, uninsured, not in a place where they know people who could help them, now have a chance. And so that keeps me going.
That makes me proud. But it also, how it comes about. It's so sad.
Right.
But I know she'd be proud of you and proud of Max and happy to know she's left a living legacy that many women, it's so hard to admit you've got something going on. It's so hard to have to face any kind of disease, but breast is very intimate. It's very personal. Right. And then to have to ask for help.
Right. And see, the thing is that the type of person that she is the one that you call for help.
Right.
She's the one that you call for support. And so I can almost empathize with her as to why she didn't want to be the one that was in need. But I just wish that it didn't come at the cost that it did, right. Because other women that are in that space, some of us get very strong and we don't necessarily want to get in that place where, like you said, we're in need. But in this instance, health is everything. Right. And so sometimes you have to just break that pride down and do it.
Well, and I think you sharing the story of the Rose, and that's what we're here for. Right. We've tried very hard to not make the asking for help that difficult. Right. But no matter what, it's hard, especially if you're used to being independent and especially if you paid your own way, and we get that. I'm sure half of my staff has been there, and I think that's why we understand. I've been there. It's a hard place to find yourself.
Definitely. But I'm glad that the Rose is here. Oh. Because then it may ease that burden, that's on people about what do I do next.
So now I'm going to ask a very personal question.
Okay.
Are you aware of your risk factors at this point?
I am. I actually made a visit to the Rose earlier part this year. Oh. Since it's such a close connection, because I've had other family members, aunts, and uncle that had some type of cancer. And so since this one happened, I actually went to the pre-screening that they did. And then I also went to a few events that was around town in October of last year just to push it out there and let people know, go get it checked.
Right.
Go get checked out.
Right.
Worst case scenario, there's nothing wrong with you. And then that's the best case scenario.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So,
the best case scenario. That's so true.
I definitely keep that
That's
on my mind.
That's a great line. Worst case, best case.
Oh, yeah, write that one in.
Yeah, I need to. I haven't heard that way before. Again, this is very personal. So anything I ask you don't like, you just tell me and we'll stop. But what would you say to a family member of someone who late stage, diagnosed late, didn't tell anyone? What would you say to that person now that you've been in that spot?
I would tell them to think about my aunt. Okay. Think about Aunt Tonja. What did you feel in that time when you didn't know? Mm-hmm. And then just let them ponder on it, because that's a hard time to be in. I've never been in that space, so I don't know what's going through their mind. I just watched it happen. And so I would just want to have them have a constant reminder, remember what we felt when she was going through that.
What would you say to another Chrissy?
I would say to another Chrissy to always take care of yourself. Because sometimes we forget, especially when we're busy women running around, involved in everything, whether it's, family, friends, children, work, philanthropy, whatever it is, helping others. Just take care of yourself. And if you feel something, if you see something, if something isn't right, don't just, charge it off. Go and get it checked out.
Talk about busy women. I mean, here you've run for office and all this kind of stuff. Why do you love your community so much?
Gosh. Because I think about where I am right now, and I think about the community that was around me that helped build me up. And I want to be a person like that. I want to be one of those people that's so impactful that it causes the next generation and the next generation to want to be as impactful. And I just continue to spread that love all over. I mean, it's so much to be done in our communities that I can't do it all, but I try my best to do all I can because it's exhilarating, really, because in the community I grew up in, it was very small when I was younger, so I can only imagine what it was like later on. But now it's growing and growing and growing, and more people are coming to the Bryan-College Station area. And so if I can make a difference in somebody's life just by doing one thing, then I can make a difference doing many things in many different ways.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I can't do it all, but I try to do all I can. You're just full of these inspirational lines. I love it.
Thank you.
And a lot of people that are going into Bryan-College Station are going for the work.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they live there. It's very expensive to live at Bryan-College Station.
Yeah, I believe it.
And some of the stories Max told us was about people driving an hour or having to stay with someone so they didn't have that hour commute just because they needed work, they needed a job.
Right, and a lot of people that we come in contact with, not just on the reach side, but just in the community in general, they usually are multifamilies, in one space. Or, like you said, they come into town just to work because the opportunities are there, but the housing is not there, or they may not have vehicles, or it may be a series of situations. The school may be better where they, in Bryan, whereas where they live in a small town, they may not have as many opportunities. And so there are different ways to touch different sets of, the community because everybody has a different background. But if I'm in a place where I can give and give and give, and it's going to help impact somebody and build them up, I'm going to do it.
So, admire that. But how do you take care of your family, of Chrissy?
I had to learn to start taking care of Chrissy because I don't have any children, but my mom and my dad, they were big community people. My dad, to this day, he still runs around and takes water to protesters who may be at the courthouse or he's out and about, and he may find some families to, buy clothes for and take groceries to, whatever the case may be.
What was his profession? What is his profession?
My dad, he owns a business. He owns a tire business.
Oh.
But he just, has a heart of gold. And so him and my mom, they have always been people to give back. And so I had to learn that even with giving back, like I have to give to myself too, because I'll eventually run out. And so I take a day a week. Sundays to just, kind of chill and do my own thing. I really enjoy reading and binge watching random shows on Netflix. I don't even know. But just anything to relax. But that also gives me time to, revamp and just get myself prepared for whatever I'm going to do the next week, because I never know.
So what's your favorite part of the program that you're involved with Reach?
My favorite part of the program, I have to be biased to say entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Definitely entrepreneurship, but it's just because of that developmental piece. And there are many different programs within Reach. I believe we have 34 different ones. But that entrepreneurial piece, just watching, getting prepared for those students or families to come in and, they start out, they may just only have an idea in their brain, but to see it, then build it out, take the time to get to the point where now they have a platform on social media, they have a business plan, they were able to get a business loan, open up a bank account. All those things just prove to me that anybody can make it if they put their mind to it. Hard work, dedication, and just believing in yourself can get you so much further when you have a support system behind you.
That's the key, though, having that support system.
Right. And
having
that's what we
a
are.
community to turn to.
Right.
Feeling like you've got someone behind you and to kind of push you forward and
Yes, ma'am.
catch you if you fall.
Yes, ma'am.
But they're there.
But stick with you throughout the whole process, too.
The whole process, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And what you tell me, it's a 9 month process?
It's 28 weeks, so however that falls.
Okay.
28
but
weeks.
it's a commitment from whoever
Oh,
gets
yes,
into
ma'am.
it. Yes.
Definitely a commitment, but, that's the time that you would want somebody to take to even think about building something out so that it can be successful,
Right.
So, or if you need to pivot, some people come with businesses and they need to go to the next stage. So it's definitely a commitment, but it's one worth having.
Well, I'm sure that you get a lot of reward from helping people, seeing them grow.
Yes, ma'am.
Moving out of your program into their own space.
Yes, ma'am. And then getting to see them a year later. I know I wasn't teaching the class last year, but we do have a few families that came out of class last year that actually were able to open storefronts this year.
Really?
So we've been able to go support them and see the grand openings and all of that and ribbon cuttings. And so it's been great.
Well, congratulations to the whole group.
Yes, ma'am.
That is amazing.
Thank you so much.
And I know you're going to continue to be involved with the health part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And to be an advocate and teach women how to be an advocate.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't imagine anything more important for you to do, in my mind. And again, what a way to honor your aunt.
Absolutely.
I can't help but notice that locket around your neck. Now, who is that?
That's me and my aunt when I was younger.
Oh, let's see it. Oh, my goodness. You were younger.
I was.
Yeah.
I was her baby, so we had plenty of pictures together.
Oh,
I think more than what
sweet.
I had with my own mom.
So she really was
yeah.
a role model, second mom.
Definitely. She definitely kept me motivated. Her and my mom, I think they were running a race on who was going to be at all my functions, but they were always there. Anything I had going on.
What a gift she was.
She was. Still is.
Still is, yes.
Still is. Very impactful. But yes.
Just a fabulous story, Chrissy. I'm going to ask you one more thing because I want people to realize Max is not just thinking Bryan College Station.
No, ma'am.
This guy has a national plan. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he going to make it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And he has all of us with him. We're not just here to support. We're here to do the groundwork and get to that next step and just keep going higher, because the more people we can reach, no pun intended, the more people we can help, the better the impact.
That's right. That's right. Well, he's lucky to have you.
I appreciate that. I'm lucky to be a part of it. I'm very blessed, very thankful.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speak Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.